It all began with a spark, not from flint and stone but an idea in a mind like ours. Our ancestors wandered untamed lands, surviving by wit and will. Then someone saw a rock as more than a rock, and shaped it into a tool. This simple act changed everything, making life easier and knowledge shareable. That first step was quiet, but its legacy is in everything we build today. For an immense stretch of human history, we were wanderers. We followed the herds and the seasons, living in temporary camps and natural shelters. The idea of home as a permanent place simply didn't exist. But then, another revolutionary idea began to take root, quite literally. Someone noticed that seeds dropped on the ground would later sprout into plants. It's an observation that seems obvious to us now, but for people who had only ever taken what nature provided, it was a profound revelation. It was the discovery of agriculture, and it would change absolutely everything about the human experience. This shift from hunting and gathering to farming was not an overnight decision. It was a slow, arduous process that unfolded over centuries. Early farmers had to learn which plants were best to cultivate, when to plant them, and how to protect them from pests and weather. They learned to domesticate animals, not just for meat, but for milk, wool, and labor. For the first time, humans began to control their food supply. This newfound stability meant they no longer had to move constantly. They could stay in one place. And when you stay in one place, you start to build. Suddenly the world saw the rise of the first villages and towns. People began to construct permanent dwellings from mud, wood, and stone. Living together in larger groups created new challenges and new opportunities. You had to learn to cooperate with your neighbors, to share resources, and to organize labor for large projects. This led to the specialization of skills. Not everyone had to be a farmer anymore. Some could become potters, creating vessels to store grain and water. Others could become weavers, turning wool and flax into cloth. Some became builders, and others perhaps became leaders. This new way of life had a dramatic effect on our relationship with the world. We were no longer just passing through the landscape, we were actively shaping it. We cleared forests for fields, diverted rivers for irrigation, and built structures that would stand for generations. This was the beginning of civilization as we know it. The ability to produce a surplus of food freed up time and energy for other pursuits, for art, for music, for religion, and for simply thinking. The simple act of planting a seed had led to the complex, settled societies that would become the foundation for all future empires and nations. Imagine having a brilliant idea, but no way to save it except in your own memory. For most of history, knowledge was fragile, passed like a whispered secret, easily lost. Then came writing, humanity's external memory. Early writing, like cuneiform, began as practical record-keeping, an ancient spreadsheet made of mud. Now, thoughts could travel across time and distance. Knowledge was no longer trapped in a single mind but could be shared, built upon and preserved for generations. With settled cities, a reliable food supply, and the ability to keep records, the stage was set for the next phase of human development, the rise of empires. These were not just large collections of cities, they were vast, organized systems of governance, trade, and military power. Empires like those of the Romans, the Persians, and the Han Dynasty in China connected millions of people over enormous territories. To manage such vast domains, they needed more than just armies and tax collectors. They needed infrastructure, and they needed engineering on a scale never seen before. The Romans in particular were masters of practical engineering. They understood that to hold an empire together, you had to make it easy to travel and communicate within it. So they built roads, not just dirt tracks but remarkable stone-paved highways that crisscrossed Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. These roads allowed legions to march quickly to quell rebellions, but they also allowed merchants, messengers, and ordinary people to travel with unprecedented speed and safety. Along these roads, trade flourished, ideas spread, and a sense of shared identity began to form across diverse cultures. Alongside roads, these ancient empires built other marvels of infrastructure. They constructed aqueducts, massive stone channels that carried fresh water for dozens of miles to supply their bustling cities. This single innovation dramatically improved public health, allowing for public baths, fountains, and sewer systems that made city life far more sanitary and pleasant. They also built enormous structures like the Colosseum in Rome or the Great Wall of China, testaments to their ability to organize and command vast amounts of labor and resources. These weren't just impressive buildings, they were physical manifestations of a government's power and its ability to shape the very land it ruled. This era was not just about grand construction projects, it was about the systems behind them. These empires developed complex legal codes that applied to all citizens, creating a sense of order and justice. They minted standardized coins, which made trade easier and more reliable. They established bureaucracies to manage the day-to-day business of government. While often built through conquest and maintained by force, these empires created a framework of stability and interconnectedness that fostered innovation. The gears of civilization were turning faster, driven by the need to manage complexity and the ambition to build things that would last for ages. After the fall of ancient empires, knowledge survived in monasteries and libraries waiting for rediscovery. In the Renaissance, curiosity and belief in human potential sparked a new way of seeing the world. For centuries, people believed Earth was the center of the universe. Copernicus challenged this, showing Earth orbits the sun, a revolutionary idea. The printing press spread new ideas quickly, fueling debate and discovery. Galileo and others used observation and evidence, launching the scientific method. This spirit of inquiry set us on the path to the modern age. For most of human history, the speed of life was dictated by the power of muscles, wind, and water. A horse was the fastest way to travel on land, and a sailboat was the fastest way to cross the sea. Then, in the 18th century, another revolution began, this one powered by steam. The invention of the steam engine was a game-changer. It was a way to convert heat from burning coal into motion. For the first time, we had a source of power that was not dependent on animals or the weather. It was a machine that could work tirelessly day and night. This new power source transformed industry. Factories sprung up, filled with steam-powered looms and machines that could produce goods on an unprecedented scale. What once took a skilled artisan weeks to create could now be mass-produced in a fraction of the time. This industrial revolution, which began in Britain, led to the growth of massive new cities as people flocked from the countryside to work in the factories. Life changed dramatically. The rhythm of life was no longer set by the sun and the seasons, but by the factory whistle and the clock. The steam engine didn't just power factories. It revolutionized transportation. Steam locomotives began chugging along newly laid railway lines, connecting cities and countries like never before. A journey that once took days by horse-drawn coach could now be completed in a matter of hours. At sea, steamships replaced sailing vessels, making ocean voyages faster and more predictable. The world suddenly felt much smaller. Raw materials from one continent could be shipped to factories on another, and the finished goods could be sent back and sold. A truly global economy began to take shape. This era also saw incredible breakthroughs in materials science, particularly with steel. New processes made it possible to produce steel cheaply and in large quantities. Steel was much stronger and more versatile than iron, and it became the backbone of the modern world. It was used to build the railways, the bridges, the skyscrapers, and the ships that defined the age. The combination of steam power and steel created a cycle of progress. Better machines made it possible to produce more steel, and more steel made it possible to build bigger and better machines. This was the Great Acceleration, a period of explosive technological and social change that laid the foundations for the 20th century. The 20th century's greatest legacy was mastering the electron, bringing light into homes and powering a new wave of machines. The invention of the transistor sparked a revolution, shrinking computers from room-sized giants to tools in every home. Then, we connected them all. The internet rewired society, letting us share knowledge and connect instantly across the globe. Today we live in a digital age linked by invisible signals and flashes of light, with the world's knowledge just a click away. Humanity's story is one of staggering, accelerating change. From chipping stones by a riverbank to guiding rovers on Mars, each innovation built on the last, driven by curiosity and hope. We've faced immense challenges, climate shifts, famine, war, yet always found a way forward. The same spirit that led Copernicus to the stars drives today's scientists and dreamers. Our task is to use this inheritance wisely, ensuring the story of humanity continues with hope.